I'm sorry. This segment is for the Gentiles and Christian believers. This this is something that the Catholic Church has lied to you, but I'm not going to lie to you that concerning the law and concerning what is required of Hebrews in the last days. In order for you to go to Israel in the last days, to the millennial reign, or to heaven, you need to be able to obey God's laws. Okay, God's laws consist of the Ten Commandments. It is in Exodus 20. One of the laws that God say, let's go through a checklist of God's laws and let's find out, what do you need to do? Do you need to obey these laws, or you need to just forget about them, or what? The thing about it is that you're not under a covenant, but you're not in a position to evade the law either. You cannot avoid the law. You can't evade. You can't be evasive and say, "Oh, the law is not for me. I don't have to live because I'm not a Hebrew." Well, that's not true. Brother Greg, read the first law for me.
This is I'm sorry, Exodus chapter number 20, verse number 7.
Verse 1.
Verse 1, I'm sorry. And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
Okay, Gentile Christians, can you have other gods? No, you cannot. You cannot serve other gods. God is a jealous God. Okay, so whether you are Gentile, Hebrew, or Christian, whatever you cannot have but one God. You cannot serve other gods. But God is a jealous God. Okay, so that does pertain to you. Is that right? You know that does pertain to you. So you cannot worship other gods. So that's the Ten Commandments. Brother Greg, read the next one.
Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, or
Okay.
that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth.
Okay, so that means you cannot make any stars that's in the heavens, things on the earth, that's a manoah, or things underneath the earth, that's a fish. So you see these symbols that people are making, these symbols and these images, pictures of a man, the white Jesus. These are images that you cannot use. Okay, so that's the second law. So you cannot make any images. You know that. Okay, so that's law number 2. So you're not Hebrew and you don't have a covenant, but you still have to obey this law also. So far we're still under the law, huh? Well, you don't have to call on the law because I think it grieves a lot of you when you say you want to be on the grace so much, you want everything free, and you don't want to do that. So you still are not. You still cannot avoid from being under the law, although you don't have a covenant. Let's go to the next law.
Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain.
Okay, that means you cannot use the name of the Lord in vain by calling. People say, call the name of the Lord for no reason, like somebody step on your feet, or you at a red light and somebody cut you off, or someone drives in front of you, or someone snatched something out of your hand. You can't call on the name of the Lord, use His name in vain. Or somebody do something to you, you cannot yell, oh yeah. Okay, so that's number 3. It still put you still underneath the law, doesn't it? Well, like I said, you're not under the law, but you're not free to not obey the law. Okay, so that's number 3, and you're still like under the law, right? Okay, so we're getting that thing settled, aren't we? Okay, now let's look at the next one.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
Okay, now that one is a little bit controversial, right? Okay, I agree because you're not the covenant, you're not under the covenant, but you are to keep communion. So you're to keep Christians and Gentiles, you are to keep communion, not the Sabbath. Only Hebrews keep the Sabbath day. Hebrews, y'all keep, Christians and Gentiles, you keep communion. You have communion. So at the same time, Hebrews keep the Sabbath, you should keep the communion. That means from sunset Friday until sunset Saturday. That's when you keep communion. You have your communion services. Okay, you have them in your home because churches are not going to open their doors. And the Sabbath day is on Friday. It's Friday sunset until Saturday sunset. It's not Sunday. Sunday, they had Sunday because Paul collected money from the church on the Sunday, because when Paul came into town, they was having the Sabbath day. So they raised money for Paul on Sunday to give him money. So Paul went to the synagogue to get money. Peter went to the synagogue to get money, so that he was getting money from the church. That's why he went to church on a Sunday, to get the money. And it's not because Jesus rose on the third day, because he didn't rise on the third day on a Sunday. He rose on the Sabbath. The Sabbath is the evening and the morning of the first day, just like the Bible said in the beginning. So that's what that means right there. Okay.
Honor thy father and thy mother.
Okay, so that puts you back on the law again, because you know you're supposed to honor your parents. Okay, so there we go. So only one so far. So honor your mother and your father.
Thou shalt not kill.
Okay, that's obvious. You cannot kill. Don't murder. You cannot murder. You cannot kill. You cannot take someone's life.
Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Thou cannot commit adultery. See, the devil wants you to think that it's all right to do that. You can have sex with another man's wife. Then you cannot do that. Or can make a fornication. You cannot do that. Okay? So that's another one that puts you back under the law. It's amazing how the devil can tell you that you don't have to be under the law. Now that you are listening to this, you're reading it for yourself, you're understanding that actually you're under the law. You've already been obeying the law, actually. You just don't have a covenant. Okay?
Thou shalt not steal.
You know that it's wrong to steal. Even social laws teach you that.
Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor.
Don't lie against your neighbor. Okay? Very simple. Okay? All those things. So it's only actually one so far that, that you're not, that's the Sabbath thing. The rest of them that technically you're still obligated to keep.
Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house.
That means you should not want what your neighbors have.
Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife.
This means you shouldn't cover the brothers next to you, his wife. Just because let me tell you, just because your neighbor wife is looking sexy and beautiful, brother, you don't have to desire another man's wife. All you gotta do is fertilize your own grass. Look, if she's fat and she's overweight, take her to the gym. Help her to exercise. That's all you gotta do. Don't look at the other man's wife. Look at your own wife and fertilize your own yard. Fertilize your own grass. Take the sister out. Get out and go walking with her. Go to the gym with her. If you want her to be trimmed down, if you married her and she was looking like a Coca-Cola bottle figure, and now she's looking like a 2-liter, brother, take her out and get her that Coca-Cola bottle figure back. Go to the gym with her. You go with her. Don't send her to the gym. You go with her and work out. You do sit-ups, she do sit-ups. If you want her to have the Coca-Cola bottle figure, you get out and you go work out with her. Don't say, baby, you get fat and you get round and pudgy. No, you work out with her. You go walking with her. If she's your wife, love her and take care of her. So you go work out with her. Don't get mad at her because she's fat around the waist. You fat around the waist. So get yourself out there. Y'all go work out together. Love your wife. What's the next law, brother? That it, ain't it?
That's it.
Well, as you can see, the laws still apply to you, even though you're not under the law. There's a covenant still there with the Hebrews, but the children of God, you're actually obeying everything. So God has actually set you up so that you can obey all the laws. So when the Lord comes back for the millennium, the only thing you really have to do, Christians and Gentiles, only thing you really have to do is keep the Sabbath. And keeping the Sabbath on a Saturday, if you want to get this thing right, on a Saturday, from Friday sunset until Saturday sunset, you keep the Sabbath. All you got to do, and don't eat any meats. Don't eat any meats with blood in it. And don't eat any shrimps. Read Leviticus chapter 11. It will tell you the meats. It'll tell you, don't eat any meats with blood in it. You cannot eat any shrimp. You cannot eat catfish. Only eat fish with scales and fins on it. Okay? And that's basically it. You basically, Christians and Gentiles, you're basically living the same life that the Hebrews live. Basically, you're just not keeping the Sabbath day. That's all. But if you do that, if you keep communion on the Sabbath day, you'll have it already. So you're doing right. You're right at where God wants you to be at. So you're actually doing real good. You're doing better than the devil thought you're doing. The devil thought he was robbing you. But actually, what the devil meant for your bad, he's actually meant to turn. It's actually turned into good, because you're actually keeping the law better than a lot of Hebrews are. So just keep doing what you're doing, and let God do the judging. Let God separate the wheat from the tares. You do that, okay, Gentiles, Christians. You do that, and your brother Uriah will be celebrating in Jerusalem together. But you just keep the faith, and remember that God is the author and the finisher of your faith, not a man. Okay? Not a man. But you remember to keep looking up to God. Don't give up your faith. Don't give up your hope. And just because the Catholic Church has done evil things, selling the rights of indulgence, you know, the Catholic Church has sold so many splinters of the cross. You could build a house from here to the moon. They have sold so many pieces of the cross, and say they have sold sand that come from Israel, and you're buying all that stuff. Stop buying all that stuff that people are telling you that came from Israel, selling splinters of the tree. They did that back in the 1600s. That's why Martin Luther nailed the 95 Theses to the church, because of the things they would call it the rights of indulgence. You know, during the rights of indulgence, the Catholic Church was selling rights of indulgence, rights for people to sin, but they had to pay for it. They also paid for people who was in hell. The church was selling them rights of indulgence, was giving them a piece of paper saying that, okay, if your loved one went to hell, we will pray for them to get them out of purgatory and they can go into heaven. And they were selling it. The Catholic Church sold so much stuff and to the people, because people, they don't study for themselves. That's why the Catholic Church is trying to control everything that people are doing.